Even better,
All right,
he like Zach has
let's
learned
try
of
to get
an
this
assassin.
back on track. Bring on Lang, James. Let's bring on a voice of reason here, somewhat.
Bring some order to HoopSpeak.
Yeah.
I'm the
Hey
voice of
Lang,
reason.
how's it going? Welcome to a really bizarre edition of HoopSpeak Live.
I, I don't know if I'm the person to be the voice of reason, but I guess I appreciate that title.
Yeah, well, now that you're premium television's Lang Whitaker, how's NBA TV going? You're working with Sekou on the Hang Time podcast. How do you like working for the mothership?
I mean, it's fun. I still, I guess you could say I'm a contributor there. I'm not, full time. Slam's my main gig,
Sure.
but it's fun to do the TV stuff. I mean, it's basically what we all do all the time. You just sit around and talk about basketball with your friends, and so for the TV show, it's really me and David Aldridge. Vince Cellini's doing it this year. The hardest thing about it is doing it with David Aldridge because he's so good at it. He's so plugged in. He knows everybody. He's been doing it for a long time. He doesn't make mistakes on the air.
Voice.
He's amazing at it. So it's really hard doing it with DA. But I mean, the great part is getting to know DA. He's been awesome to work with. And then Sekou and I do the podcast once a week. And if we weren't recording it, we'd probably be just talking on the phone, making fun of each other and stuff all the time anyway. So now we just try to talk on the phone less and save it to make fun of each other on the podcast. So it works out cool.
So my takeaway from that is that David Aldridge is hard to work with. Is that fair?
You're getting good at like search engine optimization and that kind of thing. That would be like
exactly. This is the Colbert style of interviewing. Let's talk about the Hawks. They're a very interesting team to me this year. I really, this is a team that everyone kind of looked at as not like a cancer upon the league, but a sign of, like me first attitudes and wasted potential and all this crap. And now they're a team that shares the ball, that plays really great defense.
Right.
They're a joy to watch. Do you think that people recognize that, and what's changed down there?
Well, I mean, in the last 5 minutes, word just broke that Horford's out for 3 to 4 months. And they say this is typically the type of injury you would have surgery on, and they don't know right away if he's going to have surgery or not. He's going to wait and see. So that's going to throw a wrench into things big time because Al is so important to what the Hawks do. I mean, I know people argue he plays out of position, but where are you going to find someone else who can do what he does? A guy who can rebound, hit like that 15 to 18 footer consistently, great at slipping picks, getting to the rim, defending at the rim. He does so many things for that team, made the All-Star team. And now without him, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how they're going to adjust. I mean, I guess they rely a little more on Jason Collins and Zaza, but neither of those guys can bring what Horford brings offensively to that team. But to your larger point, I think the Hawks, especially the last couple of years, they've matured a little bit. They've been together for so long that they got to the point where they kind of learned each other's games a little bit. And now with Jeff Teague in there, he's really kind of the straw that stirs the drink, I guess you could say. He pushes the tempo, which they needed somebody to do. But he's also, it's been fun watching him this season, yell at guys and move them around on the court and get them into their offense. And, they just seem to me this season, and even in the playoffs last year, I think they seem to be more confident and comfortable with what they're trying to do out there.
Yeah, definitely a credit to Larry Drew. Someone that Twitter is very interested in, and I don't know if you have any info on him. He probably will get a few more minutes now. The front line is a little bit depleted. Who is Ivan Johnson, and why is he so? Is he good? I can't even tell, or is he just terrifying? And is it kind of weird that everyone talks about him because how he's terrifying, being that he's like a big dark black man?
I think people are terrified of him because he's rough on the court. Like he's not afraid of anyone. He goes out there and what was the game last week?
He's got a very angry face.
There was I think it was against the Bulls last week when he came in and they needed someone to kind mix it up a little bit, and he came right in and started doing that. I know he was a really good D-League player. He played in overseas. He played in Korea, I think. I know. I think his problem had been that teams weren't really giving him a shot, and they were kind of holding that his pass against him. You know, I think the reason he left Korea was he got into some arguments. I don't really know. I know he got like arguments with coaches in places, and Larry Drew wanted to give him a shot. I know Larry Drew talked about he thought that Ivan Johnson had matured, and this was a good opportunity for the Hawks to bring him in. And you know, he came into camp not assured of anything, and he made the team. He played his way onto the team. So I don't know if he'll be the guy. I mean, I think maybe we might see him play 3 or 4 minutes a game now, maybe a little more regularly, unless if the Hawks try to get through this Horford thing without making any other kind of moves. And my sense would be that they don't want to make any other moves. I would think you just wait for Al to get healthy. And you know, the way this season has played out so far, you just want them to kind of hang on, try to win enough games to get into the playoffs. I think you're going to see that with a lot of these teams, like especially like the Lakers, the Mavericks, the teams that have started off slow or had injury things. You know, you just want to get to the playoffs and then try to make a little run, get hot there, kind of the way the Knicks did in the last lockout season.
Hey Lang, I might ask you a silly question or two, so I would brace myself for some silliness. Were I you? I saw Matt Steinmetz a few nights ago at Oracle, and I got into a conversation about, should I dress better when going to NBA games as a media member? And he mentioned you as a particularly good dresser or somebody that he had seen as a sharp dresser. And I want to know 2 things. Number one, is that true? Actually, 3 things. Is that true? Number 2, what do you wear? And number 3, do you think that there's a certain decorum for media members in that? Because I just go to Oracle, in the potato sack, just waddle in there. Do you think that there's a certain amount of decorum that we should adhere to as media members when attending a basketball game?
Well, that's very kind of Matt. I mean, he wears a tie, right? Coat and tie at the games. I saw him in LA last week, and so I've never worn a coat and tie to cover a game, so I don't know that I dress as well as Matt does.
It really depends on the game. For the Utah Jazz, he was wearing tennis shoes, and then when the Heat came to town, he was like Armani. So it really depends on the level of competition.
I almost always wear tennis shoes and jeans and just like a button-down shirt. I don't think that I understand the argument, and years ago I would wear shorts to games and jerseys back when those were cool, throwback jerseys and stuff. Wear hats a lot. I do think as much as we would like to be able to say, well, I just dress how I want, and I think players probably identify with that a little bit more, than a guy who's wearing just whatever, khakis and a golf shirt or something. But I also think we are judged on how we're dressed by the people around us, by everyone else there. So I do think there's some standard of, I don't know, professionalism might be a little strong word. But, how do you want to be thought of? How do you want to be looked at? And, I guess from Matt Steinmetz standards, I am I am a good dresser. But I wouldn't put myself in that category by any sense.